Hello, good morning, and welcome to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. It is a beautiful Saturday morning out here in the nation's capital, and we're right here trying to make sure that your weekend gets off to a great start. Well, today's show promises to be as exciting as ever. We're going to take a look at the Nigerian entertainment industry, the movie industry in particular. We're going to have a couple of players right here in the studio to help us analyze certain situations going on in the Nigerian movie industry, and of course, lots of other things as well. We taking a look at the front pages of the papers, bringing you all that is you need to know, and of course a little bit of something extra as well. I am Ibrahim Yusuf, welcoming you to today's show. Well, still expecting Rosemary in the studio, and when she gets here, we will be able to continue from where we stopped. So this is Daybreak Extra on Trust TV, trying to give you nothing but the very best. We'll take a short break right now, and when we return, we will take a look at the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Do stay with us.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
That's great.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
Welcome back to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. And well, in the spirit of welcomes, I'd like to welcome Rosemary to the studio. Finally made it.
Wow, you just put me on the spot. Well,
It's not a question of putting you on the spot.
Yes,
I did say we were expecting you, and now you're in the studio, and you finally made it. And we're actually glad that you're here.
Are you?
Of course I am.
Last week you disowned me. You threw me away. Now you're glad.
I disfriended you. It's a different thing entirely.
No problem.
So how are you, Rosemary?
I'm fine. I'm very fine.
All right. You woke up well?
Yeah, relatively well.
Okay.
Relatively well, because it's a wonderful Saturday morning.
Yes, it is a beautiful Saturday morning.
The weather is very, very
It is a beautiful Saturday morning. Yeah.
You want to...
I think we'll continue this discussion later. All right, so it's Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. We're going to take a look at the front pages of the newspapers this morning. And as usual, we're going to start with Daily Trust Saturday. And it carries this headline: 34 fathers raped 48 own children in 2 years. Now, that is... those numbers are quite alarming. And Ms. Ryder here that says, drug abuse, single parenting rituals responsible. That is attributed to a psychologist. For details of that are on page 4 of the Daily Trust Saturday. And on the cover, he said, 13 months after abduction, family of 13-year-old abducted student live in pain, hope. Details of that on page 5. Round and About says, how erosion consumes Kaduna Cemetery. And details of that are on page 24. I quit civil service job opportunity to become a painter. Now, that is quite an inspiring story. For that, you turn to page 10 of the Daily Trust on Saturday. And in the news, woman kidnap husband for 2 million. And that's an interesting one on page 29. And still in the news, federal government hands over 7,000 rehabilitated irrigation hectares to Kano farmers. That is on page 7. Towards the top of the front page there in the entertainment section, I felt bad over comments on my divorce announcement. And that is attributed to Mansoura Isa. Details of that on page 13. And a little bit of politics, even on Saturday, we can't escape that. Tribunal sacks PDP's Basa Jos North rep, declares PRP's Al-Kali winner. Now, details of that are on page 6. Now, those are the headlines on the front page of Daily Trust Saturday this morning.
And on the front page of The Nation Saturday this morning, we have AFCC to appeal as court acquits Jang cashier of 6.2 billion naira fraud. We also have a story from the federal government which explains why UAE is denying Nigerians under 40 visa. The lead story here reads, Atiku Wike face off, PDP NEC decides IU's fate Thursday. We have riders that read, embattled chair chides APC over crisis. We also have, I knew PDP wouldn't give Igbo presidential ticket, says Umahi. Below on the paper, we have Tom Polo. Serious action against illegal bunkering starts now. We have a rider that follows, intensifies stakeholders' engagement to douse tension over pipeline contract. At the bottom of the paper, we have flood claims 13 lives in Niger and Plateau states. We also have woman arranges husband's kidnap for starving her of sex cash. On entertainment, we have rapper Ice Prince arraigned for alleged assault abduction. Police, we have video evidence against artists.
Well, next we'll take a look at the Saturday Punch newspaper, and it carries this major headline on the front page. Terrorism, over 615 schools shut in Kaduna, Zamfara, others. Now, that is quite alarming indeed. 11,536 schools closed, 5.3 million out of school in 2021, says UNICEF. Zamfara Teachers Union says terrorists now reside in schools because the schools are empty. Union demands safety assurance. Please ask proprietors to reopen schools. Now, these are the riders supporting the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. And I lost wife, 900,000 naira pension, others to gas explosion. And that is attributed to a septuagenarian. Details of that on page 13. Well, a little bit of politics. Miyetti Allah plans Congress on Atiku Tinubu Obi. And the details of that can be found on page 5. Lagos slum, where parents lament children's mysterious disappearance. Now, that is quite interesting. We'll look at that on the front page of the Saturday Punch. Federal government raises ministers, permanent secretaries, others tour allowances. Well, in the era that we're trying to talk about reducing the cost of governance, this is quite interesting as the federal government raises ministers, permanent secretaries, other tour allowances. A little bit of entertainment now, something that might interest Rosemary, BB Niger housemates whose evictions shocked fans. Conscious guided me in the house, says Amaka. Definitely sure you have one eye on that.
I haven't actually paid attention to this.
Really?
I'm telling you, for some funny reason, I'm actually not engaged as I usually will be.
How so?
Normally, you know, I know all the housemates by name. I know who is dating who. I know who fought who, I know who beat who. But this year, I actually don't know anybody.
Well, as an entertainment person, I think you should have your pulse on things.
Yeah, but
like
I
this.
felt like the characters in the house are not entertaining enough.
Oh, they're not engaging enough
Yes,
for you. I
for
see.
me.
So it means this season is not as good as the rest?
Nah, I wouldn't say so.
Really? All right. We'll get into that much
Yeah,
later.
we will.
We'll still keep looking at the front page of the Saturday Punch this morning and a little bit of politics as well. PDP National Working Committee meets Thursday on Atiku Wike campaign. Rivers government working with ex-ruling party to rescue Nigeria, says Olunagba. Why we're interested in Nigeria's anti-corruption fight, and that is attributed to the United States government. Details of that on page 5. Federal government rewarding crimes by awarding Tom Polo 48 billion naira contract. That is by the CNG spokesman. Details of that on page 2 of the Saturday Punch newspaper. Now, these are the headlines on the Saturday Punch newspaper this morning.
On the front page of the first news paper, we have North retaining power beyond 2023 with fuel agitation, says Oluwo. We also have 2023 elections. Ayu will lead Atiku. PDP to doom, says ex-AGF Adoke. He's more interested in self-preservation than PDP's victory. We also have Pastor 48 rapes impregnate 12-year-old church member in Ogun State. Wow. Second rape story today. At the top of the paper, we have why UAE authorities restrict maltreat Nigerians, says federal government. We also have PDP crisis, 7 governors move against Ayu, plots his sack. We have a rider that says collect signatures, mobilize NEC members for party chairman's removal. I won't respond to Wike, says Ayu. At the bottom of the paper, we have Nigeria's petrol subsidy payment hit 2.4 trillion in 7 months. We also have terrorism. Nigeria ranked second despite 11 trillion naira security budget. We also have another story here. I plotted my husband's kidnap for starving me of sex, says a housewife. 6.3 billion naira fraud charge. Court acquit ex-Plateau Governor Jan Cashier. Will appeal ruling, says EFCC. We also have 2023 qualities Nigeria's next president must have. Bishop Kuka explains his only regrets at 70. We also have the Alafin. Traditional head submits long list to Oyo government as Princess formal screening begins September 5th. ICPC to politicians. Stop writing frivolous petitions against opponents. And finally, we have 2023 Peter Obi, not the change Nigerians need, says Showari.
All right, so the next newspaper we're going to look at right now is the Saturday Sun, and it carries this headline on the front page. PDP APC crisis shifts to NEC. And then that is the writers here that says Wike Ayu feud gets messier. Adamu frets over possible replacement. APC pressures former presidential aspirant to endorse Tinubu. And still on the front page of the Saturday Sun, Yoruba Nation agitation suffers setback. How division between Akintoye others promoters frustrates campaign. I'll join agitators if presidency eludes South, says Oluwo. Ogun pastor impregnates 12-year-old girl. Oh, that's quite shocking indeed. How author Nze legally recovered properties from staff, says Aid. APC in fresh moves to reconcile aggrieved presidential aspirants, and Umahi will host Peter Obi in Ebonyi soon. Towards the top of the front page there, UN order FG's silence on Kanu worries IPOB lawyers. And writers here, they say we're exploring our options. Ejimako Kanu's lawyer. Terrorism charge, we are ready for Kanu's defense, says Ifeanyi Ejiofor. Now, these are the major headlines on the front page of Saturday Sun newspaper this morning.
And on the front page of the This Day, we have at Energy Transition Summit in US, Osibanjo advocates debt for climate protection deal for African countries. We have a rider that follows forgiven debt to be used for climate action programs. Coming below, we have PDP's National Caucus. NEC meets to ratify Atiku's campaign council. We have riders Tambuwal Saraki, our leading candidate for DG, Adoke says, are you interested in self-preservation than party's victory? We also have the lead story here that reads, Kuka, people have understood they were lied to in 2015 polls. And finally, we have Bodo community laments 4 oil spills in 1 month from 40 Shell facilities.
All right, next we'll take a look at the Leadership Weekend, and it has this major headline on the front page. Ministers now get twice minimum wage as duty tour allowance. And the details of that are on page 4. They earn 80,000 daily. Permanent secretaries get 70,000. And LSE cries foul, says workers more affected by rising cost of living. CSOs to contest review by Wages Commission, and no law has been broken, says the House of Reps. Osinbajo advocates debt for climate swap deals, proposes greater participation of African countries in carbon market. NNPC makes zero remittance to Federation account for 7 consecutive months as petrol subsidy payments hits 2.04 trillion naira. Well, that controversy seems to be raging on. Northeast elders worry over growing insecurity, as towards the bottom of the front page. Rapists attempt suicide in Adamawa. Now, that's quite an interesting one. Federal Capital Territory Administration gives traders 2 weeks to vacate Mabushi cashew forests. And that is another headline on the front page of the Leadership Weekend. Towards the top of the front page there, ICPC to politicians, stop sending us frivolous petitions, and Plateau High Court clears Jang of fraud. Now, these are the major headlines on the front page of the Leadership Weekend this morning. All right, so that's a wrap right now on the headlines at the moment. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll take a deeper look at the stories that we've just highlighted this morning. So do stay with us.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
Welcome back. Still Daybreak Extra on Trust TV, and right now we're going to take a look at some of the headlines that we've just reeled out at the beginning of the show. I mean, like this startling headline on the front page of Daily Trust. It's really staggering. 34 fathers rape 48 own children in 2 years.
It's, I read through the story, and there's a man who actually slept with 4 of his
own children.
How do you sleep with 4 of
I mean, well, a psychologist has attributed it to drug abuse, single parenting, and rituals. But I mean,
single parenting.
How could that be a factor?
Yes, how could that be a factor? That's not even.
The thing is, there's just no excuse for it.
Yes, that's the thing. There's no excuse. There's no point of trying to attribute it to something. There's
honestly,
it's
really staggering when you look at the numbers. Within a short period of time, we have 34 so-called fathers.
That's the 34 that you know of.
Exactly. These are the ones that were actually reported, and it's across 13 states and 34 cases. And
I can bet you, if there was to be a deeper dive, the numbers would be on the rise.
Definitely, because these are the only ones that were reported, and
yes.
it's really alarming. We pick up the page in the newspapers and you find stories like this, or you hear it on the news and you think it's not something that is very rampant, and it's not something that should be as rampant.
It should
as
not
it
even
is.
be happening before it becomes a rampant situation.
And it is quite alarming. Well, we do hope things change and it gets better. And another sad one here: 13 months after abduction, family of 13-year-old abducted student live in pain, but they still have hope. No, because that's all they can have, you know. They're talking about the things they miss about him, and that he was hypnotized and refusing to return home.
Do you believe in hypnosis?
Well, it has been proven scientifically that people can actually be hypnotized.
Would you want to be hypnotized? Would you want to pass through that?
Why? Why would I want to do that?
I just feel like hypnosis is a very unkind thing to do, because you're playing with someone's mind.
It depends. A lot of people submit themselves to be hypnotized because of one reason or the other. I mean, like it's for some, it helps to diagnose a lot of deep lying issues when it comes to the mind. And a lot of people actually allow themselves to do that.
Someone's mind.
No, that's when you're doing it without the person's consent. But a lot of people consent to it being done, you know, for clinical purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's a situation whereby a person has issues and the only way to resolve it is through hypnosis, you still kick against that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in this situation, we're talking about hypnosis that's it's alleged hypnosis on a kidnapped victim, and we do hope that that person can be returned home safely and the family can actually be whole again. Erosion is one of the major issues that we actually have because of when it comes to flooding and the rest of it.
Yeah,
yes,
this
because
season it's time.
It is the time, and there's a story here about a cemetery that is overtaken by erosion, and you have graves being dug up. Because
That's not a pretty sight.
It's not. It's really not. And you have the local government saying that the issue is beyond them and they can't do anything about it. And well, why should the local government be powerless in situations like this? Even if they are powerless, I think there's the community efforts that can be made to be able to forestall things like this.
But if it's who runs the cemetery?
I think it's supposed to be under the local government.
Exactly. So it's their duty to fix it.
Yeah, well, say it's beyond them. They can't do it.
How is it beyond them?
It's such
How
a
is it
it's
beyond
such a
them?
humongous
Obviously,
task.
they're not going to go with their hands and tools to fix the
They don't
erosion.
have the money.
But they have.
They don't have the money.
Is that what they told you?
That's why they say it's beyond them. It's beyond them because they don't have the money
I don't want to believe
because they
so.
don't have the money to do
I don't
it.
want to believe so. I believe they have the money to do it. I would say they are stalling.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's Nigeria.
Yes, it is Nigeria, but I mean, not all things are bad now when things happen like this. I mean, like they could genuinely not have the
What do you
money.
mean by it's beyond your control? Just get contractors, put some documents, you sign, okay, we will pay you at this time. I mean, it's the government. They will pay you at some point. Let them, imagine having people's graves being dug up because of erosion. It's not a pretty sight. That's my point. It's not something that you can just let go or, you know, turn a blind eye to. Ibrahim, people's graves are coming out.
I'm not saying that it's a good thing. All I'm saying is that you should look at it from the perspective of the local government as well. Most likely they don't have the money.
I try not to look at anything from the perspective of the government, honestly.
Really?
Yes.
No, that's pessimistic.
Is it?
Yes.
No.
It really is.
No,
well, anyway, moving on. And a lot of things are happening in the entertainment industry right now. You guys are really...
We're at the top.
You're doing a lot. Yes.
Yes, we're at the top.
Sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons. But for the right reasons, made in Lagos.
I feel proud to say that, you know, Wizkid is taking us up there. I mean, it's the first African album to receive gold certification. And what I even find funny is the fact that when this album dropped, there were a lot of, oh, this is his worst album, or this album will not sell, or this album is bad. We waited for a year plus for Wizkid to drop an album, and he gives us the bare minimum. But now this is the same album that is setting standards for other artists.
Well, just because people don't seem to have like really accept it? Because this is it's in the US.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe the Nigerian
Yeah, but
audience,
that's what
maybe
I'm-
the Nigerian audience did not really like it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. Music is something that evolves.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents did not listen to Wizkid and Davido. They had the likes of Fela.
Mm-hmm.
That's why sometimes I could play a song for my mom and she's like, she doesn't understand
Exactly.
what they are saying.
No.
But that's the thing. Music evolves. At some point, you have to accept. These artists too, they are trying to make their daily bread. At some point, they are following trends.
But if I don't like a song, I don't like a song. If I don't like an album, I don't like an album. It's as simple as that.
I'm not
I mean,
going
like-
to go into this argument.
No, it's
So
not an
I'm going
argument.
to save it for the end.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand why it's so difficult to wrap your head around the fact that a lot of people did not like that particular album.
No, it's not that they didn't like the album.
Mm-hmm.
Their major complaint was the fact that it's not the whiskey they are used to. And that's what I'm trying to explain. People evolve from whatever personality or character
You
them
are a
to be.
Wizkid fan, so
no,
there's always a bias
No,
when we're talking
I'll
about
give you a
that.
perfect example.
Okay.
The latest Burna Boy album,
Mm-hmm.
people are complaining that it's not even, he's not even going to get a Grammy recognition for this one. But personally, I like the album.
Exactly, but other people don't like it.
Yeah, but
But that doesn't mean that it's not good.
that's
Exactly.
the point I'm trying to make.
So that's the thing. That's what you should have said earlier. Chris Rock is in the news again.
Mm.
He was actually tapped to host the Oscars next year.
And he denied.
Yes.
He gave a
actually
statement.
declined.
He said it's like going back to a crime scene.
He actually declined. Maybe this time he was going to be punched or kicked.
And the new head of the academy, he
Mm.
said even anyone who's going to host is not allowed to make jokes of the Chris Rock situation.
But
next year.
where's the fun in that?
Exactly. Like,
Where's the fun in
you
that?
should allow some sense of humor.
Exactly, because that's why a lot of hosts are being chosen. A lot of hosts
Mm-hmm.
are being chosen because of their sense of humor. For them, they would
I
make
wish
light
they
of
could
of
give
the
it to Trevor
situations.
Noah. I know he's not going to miss out on that.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen. A host hasn't been named yet, but Chris Rock has decided to decline the offer to host the Oscars, and for obvious reasons, so that he doesn't get kicked in the face. And talking about Nigerians doing very good things, Helen Paul.
Yes.
Yeah, she got a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award in the United States. That's nice.
Yeah, there's been so many people receiving awards, going to get
Doing
their-
good things.
Doing good things. And I feel like that's what we need
Mm.
in this time of, negativity, if I would.
So the entertainment industry is actually shining a brighter light on that.
Yeah, we have, entertainment is doing well, sports is doing amazing too. So I think if people would just try and focus on the fact that these other two areas, people are trying, would get along very well. I mean, there has to be a balance to things that everything cannot be good
all
all
be
the
good.
time, yeah.
And it cannot be all be bad.
Exactly. So
Yeah, but when the bad outweighs the good, then that's a problem.
very big problem. But right now, I think, we are finding a balance to it.
Are we?
Yes, we are. I mean, also Nigeria's tech is doing well, so I would add that to the bonus.
Okay. Well, talking about the entertainment industry, Ice Prince Zamani.
I'm gonna save that for my segment later. I don't want to go into it.
All right,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just felt it was something that we should touch on.
We
touched on
we have a lot of time
because
to-
we've looked at a lot of positives going on, and
Oh, no, we will look at
that
him.
is something that has
I'm
really
reserving a whole
that is
30
something that
minutes
has reared
for
its
him.
ugly head. But there's in the Weekend magazine, there's this expose on how artists mislead the youth by their lifestyle, especially on social media. You find artists smoking weed, doing drugs, doing all these crazy things, and you find some of the youth actually emulating that particular lifestyle, and that's not so good, is it?
Well, for me, what I would always say when it comes to behavior, I think people already know what they want to do. The only thing I would say is that the artists are enabling,
Okay.
if that makes more sense. Take, for example, you want to beat someone, but you don't have the, what's the word? The audacity.
Okay.
you already have the thought, you just don't have the audacity.
Okay.
If you now see me beating someone and in public people are clapping for me and hailing me.
Now that's you as a celebrity now.
Yes, me as a
Okay.
celebrity now. Of course, I'm the celebrity.
Yes, I just said that.
And then it kind of gives you some morale to like, okay,
If
Ibrahim
this guy
is
can do
doing it, it's not
No,
that
if
bad. then.
Rosemary is doing it.
It's not that maybe you saw it from me
Okay.
and then you liked it and then you went to copy me.
So what
No.
so what you're saying is that
I feel like majority of people
already have those
that.
thoughts.
Ibrahim, what you don't want to do, you would not do it. That's just the mindset.
So are you
I
saying
have.
now that the celebrities or the artists or the entity they're blameless?
I'm not saying they are blameless.
Okay.
I'm saying it's not misleading. It's more of enabling. Because misleading is when someone doesn't know what they are doing and you're just taking them.
No, but the thing
along.
is, if I have the thought about doing something and I haven't carried it out because of one reason or the other, and then all of a sudden I see you do it, and I felt it was cool for me to actually do it. So I think it's actually cool for me to do it, which you're being misled.
I don't think it's misleading because at the end of the day, you know the consequences of what will happen to you if you're found in a tough situation. That's what I feel like misleading is. Because misleading means you don't know the consequences, you don't know the gain. If I tell you do A, you do A. If I tell you do B, you do B.
So maybe I'm not doing it. I have the thought.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it because I'm really not sure whether it's cool or not. And then I see you do it, and because I look up to you, because I look up to you.
It's not that you're not
because
sure.
I look
You're
up to you.
sure that what you want to do is wrong.
Okay.
You already have that.
So what you're trying to say
that
is,
fear.
is it cut both ways?
Yes,
Oh,
to be
I-
very honest.
I see. All
Because
right.
at the end of the day, why do you still have people who aren't doing what the artists are doing? It's because they don't want to do it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The thought is already there. The artists are just enabling. They are giving you room for you to now, emerge in that personality you want to
Which
be.
is bad.
Take for example, Nigerian movies, the days of them, Genevieve, Rita Dominic, Okoye,
The good
they always used to show this, give this impression that if you were the kind of child that, you skipped classes, you were hanging out with bad boys, you always end up, maybe doing one odd job while your friends are the ones getting the white collar job. But at the end of the day, it did not stop the high rise of girls wanting to sell themselves. That's what I'm trying to say. It's
Okay.
not misleading. It's just enabling.
Which is bad.
Which is
Okay.
bad.
All right.
I'm
well,
not saying what they
I-
are. I'm not saying what they are doing. Is
I know
good.
you entertainers, you like to band together. You like to.
It's not about
you-
banding together.
yeah,
I'm just saying, for me, I feel like misleading is used when it's more like you're playing with somebody because they don't know the consequences or gains of their actions. But enabling is the fact that you already know that what you're doing is bad. You just want somebody to do it so that you can now blame that person that, oh, it's that person that made me do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we'll change that to enabling. And
enabling.
I go
I feel enabling works.
according to Rosemary.
Yes, I
She
feel
says
enabling
they
works
as
better for
celebrities
me.
do not they do not mislead. They enable.
Because do you think about it, who misled them?
Who?
These celebrities.
Well, that's a question I think we should ask you as
No,
a
no,
celebrity.
I'm
As a
just
celebrity,
saying.
I mean, like you should know.
I'm still climbing up the ladder, but yes,
Oh,
the point-
really? Okay. All right. Well, there's quite an inspiring story here about a 20-year-old Edo-born painter and craftsman. Her name is Blessing, and she quit a civil service job opportunity. She had the opportunity to go to civil service. She did not because she wanted to become a painter, and she's doing it.
I wouldn't. Have you ever gone for an art show in Nigeria?
Oh, really?
You know that art in Nigeria sells for at least good art. I mean, sells for at least 350K, 500K, 700K.
Okay.
Art in Nigeria is still being discovered, but it's getting there.
But I thought art gets more expensive if they go after the death of the artist.
Not necessarily. If your work is good when you're alive and you have people who are willing to pay for it.
But do
trust
we
me,
really
they will
appreciate
pay.
art in Nigeria?
That's what I'm saying. We are getting to that point. Right now, everybody is trying to fit into that minimalist lifestyle.
Okay.
And that requires some form of art around you, some form of nature. That's why we notice all these content creators, when they are trying to build a background for whatever they are doing, there's a little artwork there, there's maybe a flower pot, some simple table, simple chair. So everybody is beginning to understand that, okay, this is what art does for you. And right now, Nigeria, there's a lot of depression. So
Okay.
people are also falling into that, I don't want to call it scam, but that line of art calms me down, art is this, art is that. I mean, the other day we had a discussion here about art when Husseina said this is a tree, and I said I'm seeing just a plant, and someone else said they are seeing life. So, people are beginning to get
Appreciate
into that.
it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's quite an inspiring story. She decided to not have a civil service job because she didn't want to get stuck in a rut, and decided to embrace the
So you'd be
arts
surprised how
and-
much her art would be giving her compared to her civil service job.
Well, it depends on how good she is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. But anyway, it is actually quite inspiring. I mean, like, you find something you love, you stick to it, and you see it through. These days, a lot of things are not really certain, and certain risks need to be. It's quite risky, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like if you're doing something you don't have passion for, you would not keep up.
Yeah, but she has passion for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That's probably why it was easy for her to just quit the civil service. Because I mean, it's painting. She could decide to do both at the same time, but she probably did not admire her work as much as she loves painting. So it's like, okay, what? No matter how much I'm making, no matter how small it is, I'm willing to let it go and just focus on this, because this is what makes me happy.
Okay.
And I feel like that's what many people don't have. They are not happy with their jobs. They're just doing it because, you need to make
This is a
ends
job.
meet.
Yes, this is a
Yes.
job, and I need to put food on the table. So let me just go and do it. Okay. Well, let's all hope that majority of people find something that they're crazy about.
Yes, what makes them happy.
Yeah, what makes them happy, and of course, put food on the
Very
table at the
important,
same
because
time.
you cannot eat your happiness.
Exactly. That's
Life
the thing. That's the thing.
Life has a way of just
But you see,
throwing blocks at
But
you.
sometimes the problem is what makes you happy sometimes doesn't really feed you, so you have to go and do something else.
Yes, of course, it's not everything that makes you happy that can. But I'm saying whatever you want to do, just make sure you have some form of joy from it, because I guarantee you, if you don't, you can be. Do you know what it is for you to be working and you're angry? You cannot deliver the best. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you do not love, let me not even say love, at least like what you do, it's going to be hard for you to even grow in that space.
Yeah,
You will
well-
not give your best.
Well, it depends on the motivation. I mean, like, sometimes.
That's people rely on motivation. It's not all the time you get motivated. Some days there are no motivation. What, can I ask you a question? What motivated you to come this morning?
I love my job.
You love your job.
Of course, I love my
You
job.
see,
I love what I do.
if you do not like what you're doing and you don't have motivation, you're finished. That's the point.
All right, I see. Maybe you should deliver a TED talk on that.
I would. Celebrity.
all
I'll
right.
start giving my inspirational videos very soon.
Well, that would be nice. So let's look at the numbers here, what they're saying. 19 billion naira and $7.6 million. And that's the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority said local airlines owe. That is the airlines that are operating within Nigeria.
When they say they owe airlines, it's very confusing for me, because people buy tickets and their taxes and their
Yeah,
all
well,
of that.
there's,
So how come?
there's a certain percentage that these airlines are supposed to remit on, I think, on the tickets that they sell to the
Yeah.
NCAA, and they have
So
not been doing
are
that.
they not doing that?
They have not been doing it.
There are a
Simple.
lot of checks and balances that need to be done in every sector. in
Well,
this
they
country.
actually owe 19 billion, which is $7.6 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's a whole lot of money.
a whole lot of money.
Lots of thoughts going through my mind right now.
Oh, trust me, you don't have as much thought as I do.
20 operation licenses, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps granted new private security practitioners. 20 new licenses. I mean, like, well, is that a good thing? Private security firms are springing up by the day. We're talking about insecurity here and there, and then we have private security firms coming up. Are they going to bridge that gap?
No, they will not.
Really?
I'm not sure. Because they are there for the money. Unlike, the rest who are public servants.
Well, they get paid as well.
Yeah, of
They're
course
not doing
they
it
get.
out of the goodness
No,
of their
no,
hearts.
of course.
They get paid as well.
Of course they get paid,
Yeah.
but I feel like private securities.
But you can still find people that are actually passionate about security, going into private security.
Yeah, of
They're
course, why
passionate
not?
about it, they love it, and then get paid for it at the same time. Just what we finished talking about right now.
But I just feel like private security, their main focus is the money, not the people they are protecting. That's the way I see it.
Well, that's the way you see it.
Yeah.
Well, some of them might argue that maybe we should try and get a private security person in here so that you guys can
I
have
should get a bodyguard.
you guys can have a discussion. Oh, you
Yeah,
celebrity?
yeah, I'm a celebrity, so very soon I will.
Celebrities actually encourage private security firms to grow because you're the one you're with some of
Yeah,
the
but
top
personally,
clients.
it's wrong for you to be using what I call it, public security, like police or army as your.
Okay.
They are not meant to protect. I don't know.
So that means
Their service is to. I don't know. I feel like there's. I don't know the word to use to explain.
it's wrong.
It's just wrong. Yes.
Okay, but you can use the private security firms to actually do your bodyguarding and whatnot.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Because like it's a business. It's you pay.
That's the thing. That means private security firms are actually very useful. Since
I didn't say they are not
you guys
useful.
actually do that.
I'm just saying, like, they are there
in the grand
for-
scheme of
In the
things.
grand scheme of things, they are there for the money. Everything is for the money.
And everything is for the money. Even public service is for the money now. All right, so 84 trillion naira. That's $200 billion. That's what the federal government says Nigeria needs to bridge gas infrastructure deficit in the next 10 years. That's 84 trillion. That's a colossal amount.
Trillion, billion.
That's a colossal amount. Let's not even dwell on that. And then 95%, that's the digital literacy percentage federal government targets for citizens by 2030 as contained in the National Digital Economy Policy. So by 2030, we hope that 95% of citizens will be digitally literate.
That's
Do you think-
8 years from
do you-
now.
do you think- do you
It
think-
shouldn't
do you
even take
think-
that
Do you think
long.
that's possible?
It's possible, but I feel it shouldn't take that
We're
long.
talking about 95%. 95% of Nigerian citizens,
It shouldn't take that long.
even those in the rural areas.
How many percent do you think is already literate digitally?
20% or so.
20?
Of course.
I would say more than 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it depends on what your definition of digital literacy actually is.
What's the definition?
Because you actually have people that are in the rural areas that there's actually no broadband penetration, so how can they be able to get a lot
if
of
you're
other
putting
things?
that in the grand scheme of things, then
Yeah.
you're very right.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So sometimes when you have to look at all these things because basic infrastructure is actually not there to support it. So I think once the infrastructure is there, then maybe you can have. We should be talking about a better broadband penetration in a lot of places that really don't have those kind of services.
I actually support you because there's no network in my area.
In your area,
Yes.
and you live in an urban area.
Thank you.
So when you consider that, put it against people that actually live in rural areas where the
areas,
infrastructure
yeah.
is actually non-existent completely. So I think those are the things that
Yeah,
maybe we
because
should
I mean,
concentrate
before
more on.
everything is going e-commerce, e-transport, everything is
E-naira,
online, now,
e-naira.
e-naira.
Mm.
So I think, but 2030 is just a very.
Short distance away.
I feel like it's a long time.
Okay.
I feel like they can do it in a shorter period of time. That's what I'm trying to say.
How?
We have the capacity, like I said to you, Nigeria's tech industry is growing.
Okay.
In as much as you have people from that industry relocating,
Yes.
very recently.
Yes.
But I feel like with the people we have on ground now, if they are serious to put in the funds, do what they are supposed to do, give or take, I think 5 years.
But the problem is sometimes, I mean, a lot of people have brilliant ideas. They have brilliant ideas on how to actually stimulate the tech sector, but they lack the resources to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they should put in the necessary funds that are needed to, whatever equipment or infrastructure that is needed. Give or take 5 years.
Okay, well, that remains to be seen. Let's see what happens between now and 2030. Since they say they want to do it, let's see if we can be able to achieve 95% digital literacy by that period. Well, it's still Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. We're rounding up the newspaper analysis this morning. We'll take a short break right now, and we'll be right back after this timeout. Do stay with us.
My name is Joshua Danjuma. I'm a spray painter. We do the spraying work to beautify gates and burglaries and the rest. We started the job by learning the work, see the work, I like it. Someone taught me how to do the job. And I learned for 7 years before I started on my own. I've come from a polygamous family. So my father married up to 3 or 4 wives. So you have to look for a way to take care of yourself. That is the reason why I find myself doing this job, and I love doing the job. I leave my master 2006 to start up my own workshop. We are still doing job together. Sometimes he do call me to assist him in job. Even the ones I train, sometimes I do call them to assist me in job. I've trained up to like 6 or 7 boys. And I've said to them, they are doing well. If you are learning work, you have issue, which may be misunderstanding between you and your masters, trying to correct you, you know. That one, sure, must come. Flog you, flog jump, just like the way they did at school. Once you come late, you kneel down, hands up, do 1 or 2 things, then sweep the shop, do all those things. There's no one that will come to learn work for the first time. You must say that everything is too hard on you, but if you know what you are looking for, you will stick to that and make up your mind to learn and be strong. In our own field, the master is not going to pay you. If you learn finish, it gives you freedom. You gather people, they give you freedom, you work on your own. Then maybe you work for some people to make your money, then buy your own tools. Like the machine, those machines we use on spraying. That's how we start. We need machines, spraying machines, and pens, storage body fillers, and the rest. We have other things. The business is sweet. Very nice. If you are good to your customer, you have more customer. And you know, in this our work, it's what you do on the ground that will recommend you to another, and to another. Not just by your work sells you around. The work that you do sells you around to the people. And somebody say, so person do something for me, or Joe should do something for me, go and meet him. That is how our work sells us to our customers, to our friends, to people we know, and the rest. The time we learn this job is not this way. That way, that then is hard way. But this way now, we just try to make things, and you know, you cannot have a knowledge and just hold it to yourself. You have to share with others. That's what I'm doing now. Share the knowledge, teach others. Like quite small one that they are with me now. They are still going to school. After school, they do come and pick up some knowledge. Once you, as the way they are now, they come back to school, they are engaged on something, doing something. You know, they say an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So if you are engaged on something, you would think about this. You know, boys of nowadays, some smokes, some drink, joint band gang, courtesans and the rest. So if you leave all these boys now like this, all you'll be thinking is about joining all those things, but guys that smokes or join courtesans and the rest. So it's for them, it's the best thing that will ever happen to them. For them to, after school, they come here and do 1 or 2 things, correct them, you understand? Mix with people here. You know, there's a life doesn't switch always. There's some things, some days you come, you meet some situation that you won't like. Just like today, my machine got spoiled. You know, I have to measure up to 3 or 4. There's one that got spoiled, but this is just the last one that I have that got spoiled today. Stopped my work. So I don't know how to sometimes it's business, it's life itself. Even life itself, sometimes you wake up, you're not just happy to yourself. That's what just happened today. The only challenges we are facing in this job is cost of material, because of our government and the rest. You will buy this in 2,000 today, tomorrow they will tell you 2,800, 2,700. That's just the challenges that we are facing. They don't understand, but sometimes they do understand because it's of the country. Sometimes they do go to market by themselves to buy the material yourself. So they do understand sometimes, but not all the time. If you go to buy the material, we roll the material for you, buy the material for us, we work for you, pay us labor. Everybody goes to so separate way. Happy, you're happy, I'm happy. Simple. The advice I have for the younger generation is to engage yourself with something. Learn something. Even if you are teaching school, learn something that will brighten your future. Which in case the education issue has a scale level today, you switch off, doing 1 or 2 things to support yourself and keep moving in life.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
documenting the Nigerian story.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. Still talking entertainment, we have with us a Plateau-born, iconic and prolific film, television, director and producer Dimbo Atia. Welcome to
Thank
the
you very
program.
much.
I hope
It's a
I got
pleasure.
the name right.
Oh yeah, you got it very right.
Because
A
some
lot of
people were afraid they cannot pronounce your name.
You got it right. It's a pleasure to be
Yes.
here.
So just let's start. What is your earliest memory of directing? Let's start from
Ooh, I think it was a church project. I belonged to a youth group in church, and there was this idea. Somebody had a story, and instead of wanting to do a stage drama, the person felt if we made it into a movie, you know. But at that time, I was probably the most creative person in the setup, and so I took it up as a challenge to film, to shoot. So I actually shot my first film with no experience. It was just ideas in my head. I remember one time, Izu Ojukwu, the guy who directed Queen Amina Project, you know, he used to be like a coverage camera guy who would cover events, and he came to cover my father's memorial. And so while we were home eating, you know, we just started talking, and because I was curious about the work that he was doing, and we just got talking about filmmaking, you know, the guerrilla way of doing it. And so I realized that I had some things in my head running. So when the opportunity came, I directed the first. It was horrible, but at least I got the opportunity to. But that kind of piqued my interest in wanting to make films. But it just didn't happen until later on I picked up. Yeah, so that's the earliest I had to. It wasn't a childhood dream. Like, trust me, I didn't grow up dreaming to wanting to be a filmmaker. I didn't know what that was. Never. It was never it. I'm not even sure I remember what it is I wanted to do. I was just one of those people floating. You know, but then
you found your calling.
Oh, I absolutely found my calling would I call it by divine? I don't know how to put it though, but it just happened that I was in school at the Plateau State Polytechnic. I was a student of urban and regional planning.
Okay.
Yes, and
totally different from what
yes,
you're doing.
completely way.
Different.
I did technical drawing while I was in Plateau College, Sharam,
okay.
and then when I went to to the Plateau State Polytechnic, the only thing I knew that was close to whatever I did was urban and regional planning. And a good friend of mine actually tricked me into doing that thing. His name is Henry Garba. We call him Buzu. He tricked me into going to urban and regional planning, and so I was just floating. Like, I really didn't know. Till today, I can't remember what I was taught in school. Then we now organized a riot in school.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I was head of 6 guys that organized riots in school. Were expelled from school. So I was home practically doing nothing until my mother's friend, Mrs. Martina Kuri, who was heading the Nigerian Institute of Journalism at that time. The campus just opened and just came home, saw me loitering and just wasting my life, and told my mother, bring this guy, let him come and enter this thing.
Let me sort him out.
I literally dragged myself to school the first day. Like, I was really dragging, because in my head I like, journalist, what is that? From where to where now? Walked into the campus, had my first class with Malan Owl, which was radio production. Loved it. Guy had a strong Fulani accent, but he was intelligent. I just wanted to hear more. So I came back the next day, following day. You know, my creative juices just started flowing. The guy saw it instantly. He gave me an opportunity to start a radio campus thing. Me and the guy called Kenzo Ngupa, who works for Plateau Radio Television Corporation now. And that's how it started. Like, I just started going there, you know. And don't forget, I'd done this film thing with the youth, whatever. So while I was there, the conversations with other students, I found out that there was a film school in Jos. I had no idea. And then I was still a student at Institute of Journalism. I went to the film school to find out, and they told me they were admitting students. I bought the form, got an admission, and left the institute and just entered the film school. And that's how this journey started. It was never a childhood dream. It was just by some divine intervention, I guess.
Well, a lot of people actually believe that for you to be a good director or an excellent one or brilliant director, you have to have a certain level of madness. But there should be a method to the madness. But you have to have a certain level of madness. How true is that?
Well, it could be true, because having to be, when you're a director, you're pretty much the head of the creative, because everything you interpret, you know, is what's in your head.
Exactly.
And a lot of times you are conflicting with other opinions around you. Like, truly, you as a crew member looking at you and thinking, why is he not doing it like that? Or the writer has an opinion, because writers tend to drift. You know, they will jump a car from Third Mainland Bridge to enter them. But then you as a director, you know, and so sometimes there's this conflict between writers and directors and how you interpret. But then truly, for you to be able to bring a world from a script to reality, you have to have some level of madness, truly, because you are literally displacing other ideas so that yours stands and it makes it. And then a lot of times the people, it can be conflicting, but when you have to resolve and insist that this is what is going, so a fantastic director is somebody who is disruptive, and that can come with a pinch of madness. I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, that's nice. That's nice to know. So, directing generally,
Yeah.
it involves a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And you, as a director, just like you said, you are the head of this incredible monster.
Yeah.
And everybody follows you because you direct. So, how do you juggle all these things together when you are like in a production, in the heat of it? How do you manage the cast, the crew? You have producers breathing down your neck. You have the executive producer. You have the writers bringing their own ideas. You have undirectable cast members. How do you manage that?
I think being a director could be as simple as frying akara, and could be as hard as being a military general. You know, it comes with the ability to lead. A lot of people think it's also say action and cut. No. A director has to be a leader. You must have the potential to lead. Why? Because, like I said, you're head of the creatives. People would be looking to trust your opinion about how it's interpreted. Don't forget that every other person has read the script, and every other person had entered their own world. You know, when you read books, the way you read a book is different from, let's say it's the same book. The world that you enter in is different from what she would see.
Yeah.
And so when three of us gather, we have seen this story in three different worlds. And if I have to, if it's going to be my own opinion, at the end of the day as a director, I would have to lead the two of you to believe that what I'm putting out there is good enough. And so it comes with the responsibility of, first of all, understanding what you're doing. It's very important because when a producer trusts you with a script, the idea is that I know that you can bring this world to reality. I know that at the end of the day, everybody that will see it will appreciate the fact that you totally understood what the writer is saying or what I want as a producer. And that comes with leadership. And so the moment you step into a set, it is total control. Like for me, you know, a lot of people have opinion. Like I said, if you work with some celebrity actors and they think they know better than you because in their head they already have, you know, realized how this character should be, and then they come and you have a different idea and approach, and it's conflicting for them because they prep themselves to want to be like this, but then you want it in a certain way, you know, and so they're almost like pinching to tell you, why don't you do it my own way? Sometimes it can be, but you know, when you step into a set or a location, and the first thing that I do is take command and take charge of the place, which is making sure that everybody knows that you know this job. So I walk into a set, and the first thing I want to do is read the script in front of the actors, and then have to, you know, have them to read the dialogue, you know, and then I get their opinion. So what do you think? What do you think is the context of this scene? That's if I have to. And then he tells me, oh, I think that the actor, and then I tell them no, but this is how I see it. And then I'm like, oh, now we get it. Then we go ahead. So you see, that's leadership. You allow them to express themselves. By the end of the day, in a very subtle and smart way, you have imposed your own opinion as a director, and everybody's fine because, oh, they see and you have to be very brilliant and intelligent when it comes to the dynamics of the scene. Every scene in every story has a DNA. Every director must understand that. There is no scene in the script, unless it is Jaga Jaga script. But every writer knows that for every scene that I put in a production, there must be a reason why the scene is there. It has a DNA. It connects from where you're coming from, and it connects from where you're going to. And so if you do not understand the dynamics of that scene, it becomes a problem. Because everybody's looking at you and saying, he didn't get it too. And then you lose, the moment you lose your crew, you're done. Because they will gather during break time and talk about you in all the worst way, and people will not be paying attention when you're giving orders. The actors are on their phones, you know. So when you take charge, you come in and they know that you know what they're doing. And of course, the only way you know what you're doing is if you read your script. You have sometimes, you know, in a proper way, you're supposed to have like short list. This is what I intend to do. I want to do this close up. I want to do this extreme. I mean, in Nollywood, when you have to shoot 15 scenes a day, and your short list can go through the window because nobody has time to be going through your short list. The idea is that they believe that you walk into that set and you're giving instructions. Your DOP needs to know what you're doing. That's the director of photography. If you walk into a set and you say, oh, okay, this scene, I want to block it. I want this person to walk this way. I want this to do this. You have to instruct your director of photography. He needs to know that you know what you're doing. Because if he's frustrated about your camera angles and you don't even know it, and you tell him, you say, what do you think? Do your thing.
Exactly.
You know, the man says, oh, you're the leader. Why am I doing my thing? You know, I want the lights here. I want the camera here. I want this tight shot here. All of these are things that you must know as a director. But bottom line, you must be a leader and you must know how to lead.
All right, so when you get a script now and you look at it, do you sit down and you visualize the entire movie in your head, or do you take it scene by scene?
Oh, absolutely. You have to be able to read the entire script.
Okay.
You know, first of all, if I get to direct, I get the entire synopsis, the story treatment, which is like a 5-pager that gives you a proper idea of what the direction of the story is. And then, of course, you get to read the entire script. I have read the 400 episodes of both Halita and the Rishantes. As executive producer and the producer and the director, I have read 400 episodes because we did 240 for Halita and we're doing another 160 for the Rishantes. I've read every single script. It's very important because you must know the story. Of course, you have what you call the script supervisor who sits with you. Sometimes most directors become lazy because they have a script supervisor who interprets and tells them. So you just come and say, what's this thing about? And then the script was supposed to let you know, oh, the dynamics of this scene is this and that and that.
And you just go with it.
You just go with it. Why? Because you trust that the person knows what, and you have to have a good script supervisor. If you are the sort of director who really doesn't have time to sit down and read, but why wouldn't you want to read a script that you're going to direct? So you must have a proper idea. For me, most times I do that. Why? Because I'm the executive producer. And so I'm dealing with network and all the, you know, things that go about up there, how you run the production. I'm the producer and I have 4 other producers that I supervise. And then I am the director, I'm the art director. Don't get me wrong, I'm just good at what I do. So I style for my shows, I do edit supervising.
At this point, you might not even need a crew.
Well, I mean, if I could do everything by myself, you know, but at some point you have people who do this and you just need to supervise. That's the other thing that works as an executive producer. You must have an element of everything. You must understand sound, design. You must have an ear for it. You know, you have to be able to walk into your sound design studio and say, this doesn't feel right. Why is it, you know, why is it distorting? Why is it this and that? Oh, the music doesn't feel good, and I'm good at that. I score all my productions. Like, I literally select music for all my production because I'm very passionate about that. So I get involved in everything, down to what the actors will wear. I shop myself for costumes. Okay. Oh, yeah, don't try me. I like it.
No, I'm really impressed because there was a time where I did not understand.
I am in charge of every department of the production because it's very important as executive producer that I understand that. You know, there used to be this joke in Nollywood when Nollywood started newly, and most executive producers didn't know, you know, a lot of things. So producers or directors will come and tell them, oh, the color bars have finished. We need to buy new color bars. And they release money to go and buy color bars. So there's always like, you know, so producers or executive producers have grown to a position where you know a bit of everything, you know, so that when you're having a conversation with your team, they know that you understand their job and they feel that you respect them enough to understand what it is that they go through. So that's how it works for me, you know.
Has there ever been a time where you're not the producer, you're just the director, someone brings you a script and you just, you know, you find out that you end up changing the narrative of the script? Do you often have like producer-director conflicts with people?
Well, so the truth is I haven't really done a lot of work outside of what I've been commissioned to do. Like most times it's my own production, like Still Falling was my own story, my own production, my own investment, you know, so I had total creative control. Sons of the Caliphate, of course, we had total creative control, but of course was supervised by Ebony Life. Halita, you know, it was an African Magic production, so of course we had a commissioning editor who made sure that we stayed with the narrative, and not even with the Rishantes. I've done, there's a new film that we just shot, so a lady contracted me to do it, but she wanted me to produce, so I ended up producing and directing. It's called Henna, and it's coming out soon. You know, other than that, I haven't really done that, which, you know, you would, but a lot of time people come and say, we want you to write, produce, and direct. You know, so it's a triple thing for me. I get to do all of that. So I haven't really had the opportunity to have a conflict with any producer as per the direction of, you know, However, I think that if that's going to happen, might not be a problem because I'm really good at what I do.
So, Still Falling, is it a movie?
Oh yeah, so Still Falling is a movie. It's currently on. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
For anybody who wants to watch it, it's a faith-based story that we produced in 2020. Made about 32 million in the cinemas, and is currently on. It was voted the third best film in the first quarter of last year by the Film One publication.
Okay.
Yeah, it did an amazing run during the COVID period in the cinema as a faith-based film. That's the second highest grossing faith-based film in Nigeria after God Calling.
Okay.
Yes, God Calling did 36 million, we did 32 million. And when I say faith-based, it's a Christian movie.
Exactly.
You know, but then it featured Sharon Oja and Daniel Etimeffiong as lead characters. It's a story about It's a story
I'm
about
very up to date.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's a
I
story
see.
about forgiveness. It was really targeted
I
at very
think
young.
Daniel is a pilot.
Yes, Daniel, Captain Laggy,
Yes.
and then it's a story about forgiveness. Something happened.
I did say I was going to take a back seat in this conversation.
Look at me that way. I'm a movie fanatic.
I did say I
so-
was going to do that. Sons of the Caliphate.
Yes.
Halita, the Rashantis.
Yes.
These are all series.
Yes.
Would you say that is where you do your best work?
Well, that's what I've been doing for a long time now. It's the entire career. When I actually started, the first set of series that I did was for an NGO called Search for Common Ground. And then after that, we got commissioned to do Sons of the Caliphate season 1 and 2, which was like 26 episodes. And then, subsequently we got commissioned to do Halita. And so I have had a good run with making TV series, but then I've also, like I said, ventured into making, I've done Drawing Strength, which is my first movie that I did in 2018.
Okay.
It's also on Amazon Prime, and then Still Falling is our second movie, pretty much. But then, and we have 2 other commissioned TV series coming up before the end of the year.
Okay.
So I can confidently say I'm very, very, very strong in making TV series. It has become a thing. Like I said, it takes a long time to get TV series done.
Yeah.
Currently, what we're filming has taken us the last 4 months, constantly, every day coming to work, except for Sundays, and it hasn't been easy, producing, but it's been fun. The thing about making TV or producing, it's almost like being on drugs. It's not a good thing.
I get
but
it.
when you're done, well, I was just trying to make it. When you're high on something and then suddenly you're not there again, you now start feeling like a withdrawal syndrome.
Exactly.
It happens to all of us. So we get so tired and we want to, and then the moment we leave, we now want to come back. So it's always been fun going back on set, getting commissioned, and the excitement of it is people calling to say, "Oh, we want you to do this," and then you're not like, "Oh, it's because I'm good at this," so people get the opportunity to go back on set,
All right. Well, speaking about the Nigerian movie industry generally, a lot of people actually believe that there's not enough investment, both financially and intellectually as well. I've watched Sons of the Caliphate. Brilliant work, by the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant.
Very brilliant.
And what I saw in Sons was a production that was from beginning to end. I mean, like from the start of the process, like the script was fantastic. You could see that it was well researched. The cast was amazing. You understand? The direction, I didn't know it was you, but absolutely fantastic work there. You understand? So a lot of work went into that, and definitely would have cost a lot of money to do that and put that together. Are we getting there?
Frankly speaking, I think that we should have been there a long time ago.
Okay.
But then, are we getting there? That's still a very, very big question because the level of investment into the Nigerian film industry is still very poor, if you ask me, compared to what our colleagues in other industries are getting by, And I think the major problem is because we lack strong policies in the film industry in Nigeria. Of course, there are, but then they're not really. And when I say policies, I'm not even talking about rules and regulations. I'm talking about economic policies that will attract the right studios with the right investment to come into Nigeria. I mean, if you go to South Africa has a film industry that has a solid policy of rebate. So you could have $100 million to want to invest in a film in South Africa, and you get a massive rebate on that amount.
Okay.
And so it's attractive, for producers to go to South Africa to make productions instead of coming to Nigeria. There was a Captain America movie one time they had to shoot on the streets of Lagos, and instead of coming to Lagos to film with the natural
Georgia.
Lagos is a character on its own.
Exactly.
They had to now create a whole Lagos street. Do you know what it means to recreate a Lagos street in the Hollywood studio? Imagine if that investment came into Nigeria. But of course, they won't come. Why? Because when they search our policies, they realize that the stringent measures, these things are not, they're now wondering, if we come here ourselves, how much is the insurance going to protect us from? What's the government going to do for us? So all of these things are issues that I tell you for free that every technical thing that we use, every equipment that you see here in this studio, it's not produced in this country. Everything was shipped into this country. Not one. I can bet you that even all the cables, except maybe the electric cable that you're using, none of them, every professional cable in this studio was bought from abroad. And I can bet you that if people paid tons of money to clear them from customs. That is what we deal with as an industry. Nothing, including hard drives, is produced in this country. So we import everything. And that is also an issue. I remember I was going to, when we were doing the first season of, the first season of the Rishantes, we bought 200 terabytes capacity of drives for the production. When it got to customs, said, no, this thing, you people are going to retail it. There's no way you're using it for a job.
For a job,
and we had to pay so much money on it. Those are the things that we're dealing with. Nobody has gone out there to tell Sonny, can you come to Abuja, Port Harcourt, or Lagos and open up a store?
Yeah.
And we'll give you massive tax rebate on the equipment that you bring in. Do you understand? Nobody has gone to B&H or Black Magic and said to them, your products are consumed in Nigeria. We do not have an authentic Apple store in Africa, in Nigeria.
We don't.
Yes.
Like an official Apple store. Everything that you see are people who are retailing.
Yeah.
And then we use a lot of Apple products as editing, and my entire editing suite is the Apple products, and I had to buy them from abroad, ship them in, pay so much money. These are things that are making Nollywood not to grow. And the truth is that when you ask government, they'll ask you, who are we supposed to be talking to? That's the other issue, because who actually represents Nollywood? There is no structure, so to say, where people can sit down and decide the fate of Nollywood in a professional form. You go to other places, in South Africa, they have a union where you can't shoot more than 11, 12 hours a day. It's not possible. The union will drag you. But in Nigeria, you start shooting 7 a.m. and by 4 a.m. you're still in set. And we're now posting pictures that says set live. We're here at 12 a.m. Meanwhile, you're overworking yourself, and at the end of the day, you don't even get royalties at the end of the production. They pay you the money that they pay you, walk away. Even us producers, those are the issues we deal with. A lot of times we don't own royalties on the productions that we do. You're paid off and you go, In other places, you find producers who have produced and created earning royalties from the sale. I just heard what production recently got $200 and something million from Netflix for something. And I can bet you that those who have worked on it are definitely going to earn money because there's a new sort of...
I think they even get paid for reruns.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know they said he's Tony Stark, because I heard his wife is one of the Marvel directors, so he gets royalties.
But these are policies that things that, let's go to insurance. There's hardly any insurance policy or product, I don't know, of the ones that I've asked, of all the big names. There is no insurance policy that covers you as a filmmaker. That, for the last time that I know. Maybe something has happened recently, I'm not aware of, but that's the fact. While I was a film student in the New York Film Academy in California, when we went to do our final thesis, the school had an insurance policy worth $2 million, and we were all given a copy of that insurance policy. So you could easily walk into anywhere in California and say to them, we would like to film in your location. And the first thing they'll ask you have any insurance cover? Yeah. And we'll say, oh yeah, we have insurance cover. And that's it. You break anything, they know that insurance will cover it. In Nigeria, everybody's afraid of when you come and you want to, for example, if I say, oh, can I come and use your studio as a film set? The first thing people are worried about is somebody pushing this thing to fall and break. Because at the end of the day, to be at Bex, I'm sorry, sir. But if I know that I can walk in here, crack a screen, and the insurance will pay for it, I'll probably go to sleep and allow you people to do whatever you need to do. Those are issues that we deal with in Nollywood. So at the end of the day, when it comes to the issue of investment, people are afraid to put their money in. Why? Because there is no solid structure how to recoup those investments. I tell you that I had a problem with an investor recently concerning the investment that he did on Still Falling in 2020. We thought it was going to be that into the door and out of the door with the money, but it took us up till last month before we got any solid payment to pay the investor back. Yeah, from 2020 to 2022, 2 years. And so anybody that wants to invest into the film or the Nollywood industry has to understand that you are looking at 3 years before your return on investment. And the only reason why it's that long is simply because we're dealing with so many things. I mean, these online platforms can decide they want to pay you in 50 installments in the next 10 years. Nollywood producer is looking at, if I'm getting $1,000 every 2 months,
there's no problem
that can
now.
cover small expenditure. Nobody is standing at the gate and saying, nope, you cannot treat our producers like that.
this, yeah.
You need to do better. You need to offer better.
But are there plans to do something like this?
I mean, we're all roving. We're just chilling. Everybody's just moving. I mean, we're distracted by so many other things. These are issues that are not on the table yet. I think there was a time that there was an association, I can't remember what the name is, that was supposed to have taken up, supervised by the Ministry of Information. That still became a political issue. Those who are the so-called owners of Nollywood had issues with the formation. So at the end of the day, we're just sitting and we're looking at each other like carrot and rabbit. Nothing is happening. Everybody does whatever he wants to do, and that's it. You just go through censors board, they clear your movie,
and you just go to the market.
That's it. But in terms of the investment, it's been difficult for those of us who still survive in this industry. It's simply because we get commissioned by these platforms to create content for them.
Yeah.
But to say I have money to put into a production, it's hard. Why? Because production value is not cheap.
Yeah, still speaking on finance and all of that, how do you manage your budget? Because we're coming to an age where people are, when they are watching your movies, they are looking out for the quality.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
quality means spending a good sum of money. So for you, how do you have to manage the money that you're given to work with?
I have this mantra for a long time. Excellence is not cheap. It's very expensive. Anything you're going to do that's going to be excellent will cost you something. And so I've come with that mentality ever since I've been doing my work to say, for everything that I need to put into a production has to be done right. It has to feel good. Now, truth is, as a producer, and really I just had this conversation with one of my producers called Mena this morning, like I was sitting down there, we're having, and I'm telling her we need to find other ways of getting things done. Why? Because we can't just keep spending all the time. A lot of times we're limited by the cost of, production, and so you have to find very smart ways of getting things, One of the many ways that I've realized that I could get things done is pretty much look out for when people are trying to dispose of things. Do you understand? Like if somebody is on a sale, if I have money to invest on something that I know in the future I'm going to have to use, I invest in that. That's a producer. So it could be a house that they're selling off, lamps, which is something that a lot of DOPs look out for. I go there and maybe it used to be 80,000 naira. Now the person wants to give it out for 40,000 naira. That's half the price. I buy them and I keep if I have to. I look out for fashionistas who don't repeat clothes. They wear it once and they don't want to wear it again. And they wake up one day and decide, I want to dispose of everything. You rush in there and you pack designers and everything and you stock them. When you're ready to use them, use them. But a lot of times, I really just make sure that everything that I've been given, I put into the production. It's very important that you do not take your audience for granted. Nollywood producers, we've taken the audience a long time. So the character is a billionaire, but in his living room, he has one cane chair and he's talking billions. That doesn't make sense at all. I have said to my actors and the crew people that I've worked with, one of the things that I make sure that I do is I put you in an environment where you realize that, this helps your character grow. So we have a replica of the office of the Senate President in the set that we're filming right now. And so every time Umi Baba Ahmed walks into that set, she has this enormous responsibility. She feels like she's the Senate President. I can bet you, till today, I have never seen any crew or cast person sit on that chair. There is this thing about the way they revere that space. It is so genuinely what it looks like that sometimes we forget that Umi Baba Ahmed is an actor. She really brings out that thing, and that helps her because the environment that she works makes her believe that she is the Senate President. And so she, pretty much just bring that out. And that's very important for all producers. A lot of times, producers are in a hurry to just take the job. and take the money, and in that money they want to buy Range Rover and pay for rent, and then still want to go and do the production, you know, and then you run out of funds to do the production value. A lot of times when I have to negotiate, in my head I'm thinking, how do we improve? How am I going to do better than the last one? So I sit down and negotiate in a way I know that I can afford the furniture, because I don't do replicas. Like, I don't go and say, oh, can you replicate this? No, I actually buy genuine furniture. Yes, I mean, maybe you guys come to the set and see. And I'm not bragging here, but the idea is that you want your audience to feel like, oh, this guy has a lot of respect for us. He has not played on our intelligence. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. And so most times we put in the investment into it. My accountant is probably one of the most frustrated person in the world, because I could literally be walking through a mall and I see something that would work in a set, and I'll just buy it. And the man will say to me, bro, this thing, you have budget. I say, find a way to pay for it, because I want this on set. And you know, pretty much he's really been, so he has kept up with the fact that, oh, this man can really just walk into a store. Like, I could be on social media and see a beautiful dress or a costume that will fit a character, and I'll just buy it. And when the character wears it, the person is excited, like, oh, I love my costume. And the moment they step into set, they just bring out, you know, the best. That's pretty much how I work. You know, a lot of times you wish that the money is more, so you could do more. But you know how when they say, if you're trusted with little, you know, you could be trusted with more.
No, exactly.
And so for any young producer out there, your integrity is very important when you're doing this job, because people want to feel safe that they've given you money and you've used that money well. At the end of the day, your name is very important. Forget what you're going to make from it. Don't get me wrong. I don't see myself as a businessman. I don't see myself as a creative, and that's the thing that my wife doesn't like. She doesn't like the fact that I don't have that business side. You know, and I had like, no, we need to be making the money.
Exactly.
But you know, the name is equally very important.
It is very.
You know, down the line, maybe in the future, our children will grow money and say, oh, your dad is this. That's what Kunle Afolayan fits off, because his father had kept a reputation as a fantastic filmmaker, and now the guy is rolling on that, you know, hoping that in the future, you know, people will roll on this name and say, oh, you call this name and open doors for you. That's very important for me.
Okay. You touched on something that's very important, and that's production value.
Yes.
You watch a lot of Nigerian movies, and no, seriously, I've said this a lot of times. I have given Nigerian movies so many chances to impress me. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. There's this one, when you said you scored your movies yourself, I was really impressed by that, because there's this particular one sound like this that every Nigerian movie seems to have. I know
they're even better. Before,
I know people know that sound. There's that particular music. Every Nigerian movie has that.
Yep.
And you just look at it, and the first thing that comes to your mind is, I need to do something else.
Yeah.
I need to go and sleep.
Yeah.
Or wash my clothes, or do something else other than be here.
Yeah.
And it happens to a majority of Nigerian movies. And we say, second largest movie industry, this, that. But we shoot movies in 2-3 days, and we just push them out there. And it's really, really terrible. But every once in a while, you see a production and you go,
you like it.
That's it. Because it's not that we don't have the talent. It's not that we don't have the ideas. What is actually wrong? Are we so concerned? Just like you said, you're a creative person. The business aspect is taking a sort of a backseat when it comes to things that you do. So you're after the finished product. You just want to see it, watch a movie that you've made and enjoy it yourself. Are we so blinded by just want to get this thing out there and make money?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, in answering that, the average filmmaker in Nollywood is self-funded. A lot of times we pay for our own production. There is no filmmaker that walks into a bank and says, oh, I have this great story and I need 50 million naira of your money. I'm going to bring it back in 2 years. You are dreaming. Why? Because it is, this industry itself has not structured its way in a way that the banks are interested. There was a time that they wanted to trust us with money when EcoBank had some project way back. But that thing fell apart and all the banks ran away. So now you can't walk into an investment place and say, oh, you guys have money to like fintechs or whatever. No, because the tangibility of it is not there. You've not shown proof that you can bring back my 50 million naira. That's the first problem. So a lot of times we fund our projects. And a lot of times you can wake up and say, oh, I have 50 million naira. If I put it into this production and I sell it, and I make another 3-4 million naira on it, that's enough profit for me. 50 million naira gets you to shoot 10 days. And you're rushing, as a matter of fact, you're rushing to shoot it in 7 days because the lesser days for you, the less you cut down on cost. So those are the issues that we deal with. The other problem that we have most times is the writing because there is no film without a story.
Yes.
So Nigerian producers have had to hire writers who are very ambitious. So a writer will write a story and tell you, oh, they were driving and then the car skid off Third Mainland Bridge and entered the water. Okay. With your 50 million naira, how is that going to happen? Like, how do you even if you were going to generate that from CGI, that's a lot of money to do it. You do not even have the capacity, the editing capacity. You don't have light because in the middle of rendering this thing, they take light. That's why Obi Emelene had to go to Bonny Island to render his movie, The Last Flight to Abuja. It took him 3 days to render that movie. And the only place in this country that has constant light that doesn't blink is Bonny Island. Me, I know that because I lived in that place for 5 years. You know. So those are the issues that we deal with first of all as producers. But then the truth is that we have come to a place where even the audience are just comfortable with just consuming it because there's no option except, of course, Hollywood. And so locally, they're used to it. Like you just come and you just produce whatever and you drop it. Like I said, a billionaire who is talking about $50 billion comes to his house and is a cane chair. That does not make sense. And so for me, you know, what happens is my production actually starts from the storytelling. Oh, you see me in the writer's room, I am checking writers. Because a certain writer will be bringing an idea talking about, oh, the person went to California. How are you going to go and shoot in California? Do you understand? Yeah. So you bring them to Earth. Because if you leave writers, they will fly. As a matter of fact, they will take you to moon if you allow them. Because their imagination is broad. Every writer has a broad imagination. So you want to make sure that you tailor them to the space where you know. Exactly. I mean, for example, when we sat down in the writer's room for the Wishantes, we knew every time I tell them, oh, the asset that we have will not accommodate that. You know, they will tell me, but can you? I say no. So, you know, writers, they go to a place, they get blocked, and then they just create one new character just so they find a way out. Like, you can't try that with me. Because we're limiting this into 11 characters. You can't go beyond 11 because I can't pay more than 11. So you have to check, and that means you have to be part of the writing process. So even if you've solicited for pitches, somebody bring a script for me, you have to read through it and you have to say to yourself, oh, let me be honest about this. This story is something that can accommodate my budget. That means you're able to execute it. Don't go and carry something that has 15 story days. What that means is that, oh, so this day ended, the story continued the next day in the morning. Do you know what that means? That means you're going to have to change costumes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you have 15 story days, it means that your character will have 15 costumes to wear. And if you don't have the budget to get 15 costumes, why are you not looking for a story that only has 2 story days? Exactly. As a matter of fact, there are stories that are told in 24 hours. Exactly. Oh, the car hit this guy, he fell down while he was standing up, somebody had dropped something in his pocket, he walked away, he did not realize that something had been transferred to him. They track you to he's walking his life and then they just started chasing you. The entire day, it gets to the night, everything is resolved in 24 hours.
Yes, 24
what that means is that every character on that story wears one costume.
Exactly. You don't need to change it.
You save yourself money in buying too many costumes. But imagine a story where you have 30 story days.
You have to sleep and wake up.
Sleep and wake up. One scene is one story day. They wake up, and then you're wondering why you're buying 30 shoes, 30, you know, that's a lot of money. So when you're writing stories, you have to be part of the process because it's very important that you know what your budget can do. As a producer, you don't just sit down and take a script, and then the script says you have 30 elderly people in the council. Where are you going to get 30 elderly people to sit down in the council? So you get to that point where you just find 2 and you say, hey, let's just do it like that. We'll do whatever, you know. So it's very important that I keep telling people 99.99% of filmmaking is preparation. The other 0.001% is executing it. Because it's just like cooking or it's just like making soup. You don't put oil on the fire before you start going to the market to go and buy it. By the time you come back, you burn down the house. Share the idea, first of all, you wake up and decide, I want to eat seafood okra today. That's the first place. So in your mind, now start looking there, your mind now start going to, oh, do I have enough money to eat this thing? oh yes, I have like 20K in my account, I can do this. Then you take up. You first of all you shower, then you go to the market to go and buy the seafood and everything. Then you come back home. You clean and you prep and you do everything. You lay everything. Then you start mixing it. Then you have your seafood okra. Then you make your eba, pounded yam. Then you eat your food. That's filmmaking. Because when you have everything in part, the eating is easier because you now get what you've desired. So a lot of time people just wake up and it's while they're on set that they are correcting script. It's while they're on set that they are thinking about what to do. As a matter of fact, somebody that walks past you, there's this famous producer. Once you come to visit his set, he was out there and look at you like, Baba, you there and just enter the scene.
Just do this.
It was not planned. The guy just walked into the scene, and you know it happens. You know, Nollywood happens. But preparation, when you prep and you make sure that everything is right, at the end of it, you get it right. So for young producers, for people out there, make sure that 99.99% of the time you have prepped these things before you jump into film. That will save you a lot of money. That will save you a lot of time and will save you a lot of resources.
So I was going to ask, among Khalita, Sons of the Caliphate.
Please don't ask me which is the favorite.
No. I won't even ask because I mean, I know you tell me you don't have a favorite.
No, I don't.
It's hard for you to pick
I
one.
do not have
normal.
a favorite.
But which of the sets cost you more?
Ooh. Almost all of them, because they were all filmed and shot at a different time in the economy of this country. You understand? So at the time in which I was filming something,
so when you adjust for inflation,
this was like what, 6 years ago. It was good budget. I mean, probably a lot of people weren't filming with that sort of budget I was filming at that time. When we got to do Halita, it was good budget because a lot of people weren't filming with that kind of budget at that time. And when I'm doing the Vishanti now, as much as I wish it was better, you know, it still accommodates the project to the point where we do the most that we can with it. You know, so for every time, you know, the thing evolves. It depends on who you're dealing with because, like again, I said, your integrity is very important because once they trust you with 1 kobo and they see how much work you've done with 1 kobo, somebody will tell you, they give you this small money and you're going to go and overdo. You know, a mentor of mine, Mr. Danny Kure, had taught me one time, he said, whenever you have a client and you agree on terms, you know, what you have to do is surpass the client's expectation. So you under agree and overperform. So when the idea is that I'm just going to do this furniture, these 3 pieces of furniture, and he comes and he sees an extra stool, that automatically takes him to a place where he knows, oh, I can get more value from this person. You're not necessarily chipping yourself, you're keeping a client going. So for every time that African Magic has called us to say, come and do this project, we have executed to a point where we've won the AMVCA, and they can comfortably just recline and say, oh, we have this new idea called Dimbo. And so you have a retainership that happens. At the end of the day, what are you doing for me? For anybody who wants to make money, plenty money, maybe that might not be the route. But for me, being an Abuja-based producer, what it does for me is it creates the opportunity for filmmakers around here to get to be on a project for 4 or 5 months. And they get paid, so their families are taken care of. I get to yet again put up another story and have, I mean, for the entire time we've done Halita and the Vishanti, we've had stories about how men come back home early because they want to. So it's become a family time for her. There was a lady in Port Harcourt that sent us a message. She was emotional about how her husband never used to come home early from work. He would always, you know, gallivant and come back in the night. But since she introduced him to watching Halita that time, this guy gets home early to catch the show, and it has become a family thing. They sit down with their children and they watch it. This is just one out of so many of those testimonials. So that gives me satisfaction as a producer. You know, so that's pretty much how it works.
Absolutely brilliant. It's been an amazing conversation. Absolutely brilliant conversation.
Thank you very much. I've had fun being here.
I actually, we look forward to having lots of these conversations.
Please, anytime.
Because really, when you see the quality of the work you do, it's actually amazing to be able to get to have a glimpse into the mind that produced something like that.
Thank you very much.
So really great work, absolutely brilliant. It's been wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you very much. It's been fun being here.
Yeah, and I look forward to coming on set.
Oh, please.
Yes,
Anytime. You send me an invite
to
and
see,
you can come
to see the
what we're,
brilliant mind at work.
come see what we're doing. Anytime, please.
All right, so thank you very much
Thank
for
you
coming on
very
the show.
much.
All right, still Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. We'll take a short break right now, and when we return, the show continues. Do stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Now it's time to gossip with my favorite best friend. Ex-best
friend. Ex-best
No,
friend.
I'm not allowing.
All right,
you,
well, it depends on
I'm
how.
not allowing you. Discard me that
it depends on how juicy the gossip is.
It's very juicy.
So hit me.
It's very juicy.
All right.
First of all, Ice Prince, please.
Ah.
Why? No. You know why this is very, it's concerning for me. Last week, or was it last 2 weeks, we had Buju saying he spat on a police officer. This week, Ice Prince is, assaulting or carrying. And it's something that happens a lot, especially here in Abuja. I know an Uber driver was telling me VIO got into his car and he started driving to his house.
With them inside?
With them inside. I told them when you're ready to come
So
down.
that was the same thing that happened to Ice Prince?
Yeah, like the policeman got into his car and he started driving.
But he was driving without a license plate on his vehicle. I think that's what the cop said. That's what the cop said.
When they stopped him and
Yes.
noticed he did not have a license, then he now started driving them.
With them inside. So that's where the abduction came in.
Yes, exactly.
But they were
And
right.
my concern has been barely 2 years we had NSAS protest and all of that. These celebrities, they can at least try to, let's say, help the police. I don't know how to explain this.
No, it's simple.
Don't make matters worse.
It's quite simple.
If you're stopped, you don't have a license. Why do you now feel you need to still abduct a policeman?
You don't break the law.
Yes.
Just because you're a celebrity is not a license for you to break the law.
I will say that's not even the. Yes, what you're saying is very, very true. My point is that there's always been this, will I say, scuffle or beef between security agencies and entertainers. It's not just peculiar to the Nigerian industry. It's everywhere.
You celebrities actually have this "do you know who I am" mentality that I'm Rosemary and you should not stop me.
But to be honest, sometimes the policemen don't actually know who you are. It's the truth.
Exactly. And
so you have to make
does who you are actually matter? Because you're Rosemary, that means you can drive without a license or without license plates.
That's the thing with power.
Oh.
It makes you do crazy things.
So now you celebrities have power.
I'm saying being a celebrity comes with some form of, power and recognition.
I see.
Yes, now.
Okay, so that means you can break the law.
I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying you feel the need to be exempted from some situations.
All right. Well, let's. I suppose he's going to be arraigned.
He's been remanded.
Yeah, and he's going to be arraigned.
Sorry.
All right. Well,
we'll
keep an eye on that and see how that unfolds.
Secondly, there is chaos in the Kardashian West family.
Has there been a time that there was no chaos?
The chaos this week has been extreme. Have you been on the internet? Have you been on Instagram? Have you seen the things Kanye has been spitting out?
So there's lots of muscling in now going on.
Yes, he's very concerned about the school his kids are going to.
Now?
Yeah, because he's like, why doesn't he have a say in what school?
But he should.
Yeah, but the Kim has made it clear this is where she wants to keep to go.
Well, long ago I've actually resolved to not get into the dynamics of that particular whole
family.
Exactly.
I feel they are the word. They carry that word reality TV on the back.
It's just endless drama wherever you go. It's just endless drama wherever you go. Yes.
But I feel like, as a dad, you should have a say.
Of course you should. I think you should, even if you're Kanye West. You should.
Yeah, but and then what's his name? Kim Kardashian's former partner also commented on the issue, Reggie. He says Chris is too much of an influence on Kim, but I think we can discuss that.
All right, well, that's a discussion that probably won't end, but this is how we're going to wrap it up on the Daybreak Extra this morning. We hope you had an enjoyable time, as we did enjoy bringing it to you. But let's do this all again next week. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
I do hope you enjoyed watching the show today. You do remember to watch Daybreak Extra next week on Trust TV. My name is Rosemary Bassi.